Hello, I'm Dr. Kweku Opare, and thank you for listening to my presentation. My topic today is veganism and physical obsolescence, African conscious eating in the 21st century, or why the consumption of animal products is irreconcilable with African revolutionary thought and the notion of sustainability. When one is contemplating sustainability as a family, a community, and a nation, the single most important consideration is the quality and availability of water. I'm sure other presenters will talk about that. Followed by shelter, as well, we'll hear others speaking about that, and food. In climates most conducive to human habitation, food is more urgent than shelter. Food is the most essential, important, and the most powerful way to assure sustained life and health. No other single factor has as profound an effect on both staying healthy and restoring health when sick. Safe, readily available, highly nourishing, flavorful with the full spectrum of taste, have a long shelf life, be easy to obtain, have low environmental impact in its growth, use minimal resources in its production, waste few resources in its production, be quick to produce, does not require repeated inputs from outside the community, its waste is recyclable, and does not lead to suffering of sentient beings to produce or consume. Producing it should not constitute a hazard to those producing it. Only plant foods meet all these criteria, and the production of any animal products fails most of those same criteria. Nationwide, and with increasing impact globally, the primary cause of chronic and life-threatening illnesses is foodborne. Vegans live on the average 10 years longer and have many more years of disease-free life than omnivores. Preventable and reversible through lifestyle change, chronic disease is simply not sustainable. The vast majority of chronic disease and mortality are due to disease processes we have control over. They are caused by what we eat and/or modern chemical and/or surgical interventions secondary to the diseases themselves. Preventing and reversing these conditions can be readily made by adjustments in one's pattern of food consumption. Medical bills and the need for high-tech, life-saving medical interventions are fiscally unsustainable. They require high levels of cash expenditure, they cannot be traded for, and do not result in the acquisition of assets. They are pure expense and no renewable resources obtained in so sourcing them. Personally allowing oneself to be in a state where such an expenditure is of probability due to personal negligence, avarice, indulgence, or disregard is clearly unjustifiable, counter-revolutionary, and will quickly bankrupt a small self-contained community. We simply cannot afford to get sick if we can help it. High-tech medical services are usually unavailable in agrarian communities, and if available, are utilized only rarely. The expense thereof will quickly overtake the cash budget for all but the richest communities. They will bankrupt others that try. Sick people are not productive people. With limited resources, we need all of our adults to be active and productive. Under conditions of limited resources or war, every member of the community has foremost, before anything else, the responsibility to see to it that they personally are in optimal health through every means at his or her disposal. Those chronically sick due to factors that the individual has control over and who fail to learn how to reverse or prevent that sickness with changes in their behavior and then act on that information are traitors. Negligent and reckless behavior concerning one's own health is treason. Chemical medications will become quickly unavailable in self-sustaining communities and are wasteful. The chronic consumption or dependence thereon is reckless, giving their high rate of complications and low rate of efficacy. Instead, we should rely on the low-cost and highly effective and safe alternatives such as traditional African spiritual and herbal medicine and widely known low-tech alternatives such as traditional Chinese medicine, chiropractic, and osteopathic manual medicine. Now, I am aware that sustainable availability of Chinese herbal medicinals is questionable and will remain an issue. However, locally sourced herbs are, and locally known herbalism is, a highly effective way of treating and preventing disease. Members of the community of reproductive age and those approaching elderhood have a greater responsibility to optimize their personal health. The community needs strong parents and children. The community needs strong, productive, wise elders. We end up losing too many of our adults in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s before they reach elderhood. The community needs elders for role models to guide it and who continue to develop and share their wisdom for decades, not a handful of years that drained the community of resources for tending to their chronically diseased, declining years. When eating a standard American diet, or even worse, a soul food diet, chronic disease develops beginning in childhood and gains severity throughout life. Unchecked, these diseases in agrarian society will lead to rapid demise of their victims. We simply cannot afford the flesh-based, nutricidal diet that has been hoisted on us, and we have blindly adopted and called our own soul food. We did not eat this way prior to the Ma'afa. This is why the chronic foodborne diseases we suffer from in the U.S. were unknown on the continent. There was, and is, no coronary artery disease among those eating as Africans traditionally ate. The traditional African diet, with rare exception, was almost completely vegan, with infrequent and sparing consumption of animals for ceremonial and spiritual purposes. In the 21st century, regrettably, however, this practice will have to be abandoned since today there is no level of animal product safe for human consumption. There was no diabetes, and cancer was very rare. Now, with the export of the American fast food agribusiness complex, we are developing diseases on the continent with disastrous effects. Intentionally disregarding one's health by committing nutricide is counter-revolutionary and unsustainable. It causes a burden on the community and a waste of precious financial resources. Effectively, one is operating as one's own enemy while in the kitchen and at the table. We are actually eating ourselves into obsolescence. We cannot afford, in our state of siege as a people, voluntarily render any of our community obsolete. Remaining willfully ignorant of the effects of diet on the health of oneself, family, and community, or disregarding that information for the sake of taste or preference or even tradition is counter-revolutionary and unsustainable. Each member of the community has the responsibility to educate themselves and act to maximize the survivability of the community. A vegan, high raw pattern of food consumption is the only sustainable pattern of food consumption. If one is serious about a sustainable future, we must transition to a whole food, plant-based live-it with a maximum level of fresh, raw, uncooked ingredients as possible. First, most important is develop a deep level of self-understanding. In order to do that, it's essential you explore your inner emotional and psychological framework and understand where you are now and why. Understand you are addicted to your present pattern of food consumption. Then change that framework to one that works for you so you can get to where you want to go. Secondly, common sense nutrition education. Understand what your body really needs and cut through the confusing, conflicting information you see and hear all around you so you can relax and stop worrying. Next, develop kitchen mastery. If you don't know how to prepare your food in a vegan style, you won't be able to. Learn skills, tricks, and recipes, and become a healthy gourmet in your kitchen so you can enjoy satisfying meals. And lastly, and essentially, you must develop real-world navigation skills. Adapt your day-to-day life to fit and support your healthy plant-based lifestyle so that you can eat healthy and enjoy your life. With these tools, you'll have the power and the freedom to create a sustainable, healthy lifestyle that fits your schedule, your budget, your goals, and supports a Bibi Fahodie. Let thy medicine be thy food, and thy food be thy medicine. Kwaheri.